If you have these two things, retire. It's literally that simple. The easiest retirement plan, the way to know if you're ready to retire, we're going to share with you again today because it's so doggone simple, and yet it works almost every time. Now, I have done this one before, and I just simply used a little notepad that I showed you how to do it. But I'm going to do it again because now I got my new high-speed fancy whiteboard here, the $15 whiteboard I got at home Lowe's. So I think it'd be better to draw it on the screen. So if you've seen this before, you're like, Josh, you're rebeat your stuff, just hang in there. Got a lot of new subscribers anyway, so it'll be good. So welcome to Heritage Wealth Planning channel, my friends, the place you come to learn all about retirement planning. And I'm going to make it so simple for you that you can delete. You don't have to subscribe. You can say, this guy, Josh, he solved all my problems. I'm moving on, and I'm going to enjoy my life. So what do we do here? I need my pen. There it is. All right, you ready? Let me get my trusty PVC pipe. So this is the 4-quadrant retirement plan. I'm telling you, I've done thousands of plans and everything. I'm just telling you right now, if you can have these two things, it works almost every single time. Debt, no debt. Pension, no pension. If you can do this, ready? I'll show you how to do it. You ready? No debt and pension. If you can make those two things combined, you are G to G. It's literally that simple. But Josh, my pension's only $1,000 a month. Doesn't matter. Josh, let's see what else. I got $2,000 in credit card debt. Doesn't matter. That's not really considered debt. I mean, it is, but I'm more talking about mortgage debt. But Josh, my pension doesn't kick in until I'm 60 and I'm only 55. Doesn't matter. If you can make these two things hit, you are going to be good to go. And there's a reason for this that gets overlooked a lot, actually. The first and foremost is people who stay in a place long enough to have no pension are generally the people who sacrifice, do not live too large. They stay in one place, they put their head down, and they just drive on. I'm just telling you right now, they don't go chasing silver objects or shinier objects. The grass is always greener, which means they can lay that foundation. And the one thing about retirement planning, particularly when it comes to investments, but also when it comes to just income stream, is the foundation that you've laid from years and years of just putting your head down and driving on. If you can lay that foundation, it pays huge dividends. But more than just that, and actually it's kind of funny because a lot of times that will go hand in hand with this right here, and I'll share it with you in just a second. But more than just laying down the foundation, what happens is it says, I got a job to do. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to be frugal. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to be frugal. And I'm just telling you, the people who can stay in one place, be it military, government, working for the school district, anything like that, those people just drive on and they drive on and they drive on each and every day. They deal with the crap at work. But they have this sense that says, I'm just going to keep doing it. And then when it happens, they wake up, they're 50 years old or 55 years old, they're 5 years away from having a pension. They're like, oh man, the reward's coming. It's called sacrificing today for the reward in the future. Delayed gratification, that's what it is. Delaying the gratification, something that we don't teach very well today in the United States. Delaying a gratification. I'm going to work, I'm driving down, I'm driving on, and then at some point I'll get the gratification of doing that. Now there's a risk to this. I'll share with you in a second. Now, ironically enough, the same people who do this also usually stay in the same house. Not all the time, but generally speaking, they'll buy a 3-2 or 4-3 bedroom home, and they're just going to stay there and stay there and stay there until essentially the kids are out of the house. They don't move very often. They just grind on. Again, delaying the gratification. So what happens is they'll wake up at 55, they got pension, and then they have no debt or a small amount of mortgage. That's it. And all the while, they've been scoring a little bit of money, they put their kids through school. Whatever it is they're trying to do. I've seen this happen so many times. And then I don't even need to know what the cash flow is because there's a certain mentality of the person who lives like this. They stay in one place and they have no debt. They stay in one place, usually a home, and stay in one place, usually a house, usually a work environment. They have no debt. And so because of that, they've managed the cash flow very, very well. And they don't have to be rich, but they're going to be just fine in retirement. So is this you? Do you look up and say 2 years from now your house is paid off? And again, I'm not talking about $2,000 a credit card. I just talked to a lady or 2 days ago, and she knows who she is, but she says, look, she hates her crappy old job. She hates it. But she stayed there 30 years, and she's miserable. But she bought a house, cash money. She left crappy old California. And look, I love California. When I was growing up, man, California was like a dreamland to me. I'm just telling you right now. But nowadays, it's just crazy. I mean, in terms of traffic, the cost, the taxes, and God bless you going through all that with the fires. I can't imagine. But anyway, she left crappy old California because she was commuting 2 hours a day each way. And to move to the middle part of the country, paid cash money for a house. Sold her house in California, cash, got to buy a house. Now she and her husband, no debt, and they have a pension. And we don't even have to go any further. I said, hey, let's say her name is Joni. I said, Joni, send me a check for $950. Your plan's done. Because that's what I charge for financial planning, $950. We're not going to do that, be facetious, but theoretically we could do it. I say, you're done. You're going to be fine. Because I've seen this happen a million times a Sunday. Now the counter to this, and this is where I'm going to use red, is if you have this. Now that's scary. That doesn't mean you can't retire, but that means you're basing your retirement on one thing in particularly, which is something that's completely out of your control, which is the markets, be it the stock and or bond or insurance markets, insurance like annuities and whatnot. And that's scary because if you have debt, you're carrying debt into retirement and you have no pension, that's going to be challenging. That's just all there is to it because you get a big hit in the markets, you're in a world of hurt. No other way around that because the debt is still there. The pension, you don't have a pension, you're replacing your pension with ideally higher values of your 401k, 403b, TSP, but that is the money that you're going to use in which to pay this debt. And if this right here is down because of the markets, and then this is still there, which it certainly will be, that's a troublesome place to be, and that's going to keep you awake at night. I'm just telling you right now. This guy right here, if you can get that removed, it's going to save you a world of fear and worry, that's for sure. But if you have a big debt and you have no pension, if you got $1 million in a 401k and you have a house that's $200,000-300,000 on the mortgage on that, you're going to be sitting there thinking, if I take a hit like we did in 2000, 2001, and 2002, or again, October 2007 to March 9th of 2009, you're going to have a hard time going to sleep at night. I'm just telling you. Because don't forget, it's easy to say now, if you just could have hung in there to March 10th, you'd been fine. March 10th, we did not know was the bottom. In fact, if you go back to 2002, the market actually stopped declining from October 2002. Did you know that? There was what's called a dead cat bounce, but then in March of 2003, it had gone down again. And so we thought we're behind it in the latter part of 2002. We thought we're behind the market decline, but then it fell down again, and finally in March of 2003, it came back up. But I'm telling you right now, if that was you in retirement and you still have this debt, which is fixed, and then you don't have a pension, you're like, okay, we're out of the woods. October 2002 comes around, you're like, oh, okay, we're good. The market's coming back up. And then you see another decline. Your thing, is that a dead cat bounce or is that, you don't know, but it's scary because you still have that to pay. Same thing happened again in 2007 to 2009. March 9th of 2009 was the decline, but you didn't know. You didn't know. Obama just was inaugurated 2 months previously. A new president with no experience, with all kinds of things, shenanigans going on for the Bush administration. Obama, and then he focused on healthcare. Is weird. And so no one knew what was going to happen. But it happened where we got out from under that. But the people who had no debt and a pension were in a good place because all that was guaranteed. It was outside of their ability. They could not control it regardless. Now, they're probably worried about, I don't know, being in Chicago or Detroit, whatever those places were, Jefferson County, Alabama, where the pensions were getting cut back or theoretically were going to get cut back. They're probably worried about that, but it's completely out of their control. So they say, I can't control it. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I mean, this right here is out of your control, but these are money that you own. You're like, should I do something? What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Oh no, gold. And then if you would have done that, you would have lost your shirt. So you don't want to be this. Ideally, you don't want this right here. All right, so let me just get my trusty little eraser here. This is what you don't want. Most importantly, you do not want to have debt. All right, so if you can have no pension and no debt, that's better. So let's do this. This right here is better than this right here. No pension and no debt. I'd much rather have no pension and no debt than debt at all. All right, now I dealt with the other day, military retiree, he's got a big pension and debt, but his pensions cover well more than enough for his debt. That doesn't bother me in the least. So of the four, we certainly want no debt and no pension. Pension to cover your debts. The two, which would I rather have? If I had a pension to cover my debt, I'd probably rather have the pension to cover my debt like this guy had. I don't see that often though, but if I had my choice between no debt and no pension or a pension and debt, I'd probably rather have my debt and a pension if my pension covered my debt. No debt and no pension, that's still pretty good, but you're still relying on the market to give you your cash flow. Yeah, I think I'd rather have that. So I'd rather have, obviously, no debt and pension, one. I'm going to say if I have my pension to cover my debt, this would be 2, but that doesn't really happen. This would be 3, and that might be 3.5. If my pension is close to my debt but not quite there, and then, of course, this would be 4 right here. Not having a debt, no pension, that's the least thing you want to do, that's for sure. I'd rather you to have debt, frankly, because a lot of times you don't have debt. The reason you don't have debt is because you've been, it's going to sound bad, but it's like you've been managing your cash flow correctly. You haven't been living large, you've been frugal, but sometimes people do that they just do it because they're scared. And I don't want you to be scared either. Like, I had a guy up in New Jersey, this was a long time ago, he and his wife, they had well more than they could spend. And I remember she's wanting to buy some new shoes. This is an example, and he got real nervous. And it's like the shoes cost $90, dude. And they had like $1.3 million, a pension, no debt. And they lived in New Jersey. I'll never forget. It's like, now they came from the old world. Like, just long story short, they're older. Their parents were through the Great Depression. It's like 10, maybe 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, something like that. And so they recognize what's the luxury spending or what's the frivolous spending. Neither of them believed in it for sure. But she just wanted a nice new pair of shoes, and he was giving her a hard time. I said, come on, dude. At some point you got to get over the issue that you can't at least enjoy what you have. That's the issue too. Some people can get so heavy and not miserly, but frugal that they still keep that nervousness, like what if, and I don't want you to be like that either, where you're so frugal that you're not enjoying your life's work to at least buy a new pair of shoes. On the other hand, I don't want you being so confident that you're buying a new sailboat when you don't have a pot to pee in. That's not the right answer. So remember, a 4 quadrant retirement plan. No debt and pensions, number 1. Pension and debt, if your pension offsets the debt, is number 2. No debt, no pensions, number 3. If your pension doesn't offset your debt, 3.5, and then of course debt and a pension is the worst. So there you go. If you have that, you can retire. You don't even have to think twice about your cash flow. You do, but theoretically you don't, because you're going to be fine just because of the mentality that you have. So I hope this helps. If you want to dive into it, let me know. I'm for hire for sure, and I'm happy to talk to you about your own situation. My number 1 goal in life is to get you out of the friggin' cubicle, because I was in it and I hated it, and now I don't hate it and I feel better. So don't forget to subscribe, comment, question, thumbs up always help, and then of course go to the blog at heritagewealthplanning.com, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Oops.